In today's video, we're going to be taking a look here at the current conditions. We're going to be diving into the modeled guidance, the severe weather, as well as the upcoming tropical disturbance. Let's just get straight into things though, and first things first, we're taking a look at our current radar imagery, and as you can see, there's quite a bit of storminess up here in the northwestern corner of our nation. We do also have this derecho that kind of was taking place here in the kind of Ohio Valley region and now extending into the Mid-Atlantic region. I don't know if it was officially named a derecho yet, but I knew it was a chance of being one. Regardless, it is a very, very windy line of thunderstorms with damaging wind as a pretty big impact in there. Let's start out in the northwest, though. We'll get to that in a minute. We do have this storminess moving off of the kind of Pacific Ocean here, offshore of the Pacific Northwest, and this has moved onshore to Washington and Oregon in the form of scattered about heavier showers. There is some snowfall there in the Cascades as well that you can see, so that is also taking place. And really, there isn't that much snowfall, but if you're in very, very high elevation regions, that could potentially be taking place in there. As we take a look here at the Northern Rockies, we could tell that there's also quite a bit of activity happening in here, including some snowfall here in Montana and Idaho, but mostly rainfall, obviously, this time of year. For Colorado, we do have some showers around. It's Colorado and surrounding regions, I should say. This is also mostly rainfall, but there is just some pockets of snowfall taking place in there for the very, very mountainous spots there in Colorado. Now, for the upper Midwest here, and the northern plains, we can see that there is this pocket of showers and thunderstorms around for South Dakota and North Dakota, especially the eastern regions of those states. You can see where there was a bunch of severe thunderstorm warnings in there popping up. That is where a pretty insane line of thunderstorms has come through overnight, and it is still going strong, heading towards the Canada, basically the Canada-U.S. line there, and it's going to cross over eventually. So some bad thunderstorms are heading over towards Canada at this point, and northern Minnesota with that. So we need to watch that closely. That does look like a very violent line of thunderstorms there. As we move to this eastern region of the United States, we can see that this is still impacting areas like this, and it will be impacting these regions until it reaches the coast. Now, if anybody had any sort of damage or anything interesting happening with this thunderstorm, please let me know, because this was a very interesting storm. So if you had bad storms last night in West Virginia, Ohio, Indiana, Michigan, Illinois, Wisconsin, I'd be very curious to hear about it. Now, again, these areas in here are still yet to be impacted by this storm. So be on the lookout for that it will come through later today. It might not be as violent as it was yesterday, but you can expect some windiness regardless of if it's a thunderstorm or not at this point. There will be some windiness associated with that storm as it rolls through. That's kind of how these systems tend to work. All right, now what we're going to do here is we're going to move on, and we're going to take a look at that modeled guidance. Then we're going to break down the tropical disturbance, and finally we're going to go into that severe weather as well. All right, now here we are taking a look here at this upcoming storminess. You can see this storm is going to really get going up here in the northwestern corner of the nation there, bringing more snowfall throughout the day today here for the Rockies, even some more here for the Cascades as well. We see some of that happening, and more storminess continuing on for this region, the thunderstorms. And then here is that thunderstorm activity coming to an end here as well. Meanwhile, our jet stream is moving just about like this, so it's kind of ridging here in the eastern United States, so we're seeing that take place, and then there's obviously a trough where that snowfall is happening, where colder temperatures are around. Let's take a look at tomorrow afternoon. Jet stream looks about like this. We do see some storminess left over for some of these areas in here, and this storm is kind of lifting off back up into Canada, so we're going to see this continue to lift up and just move eastward up there in the north. Now, by Thursday, this is going to be the 16th here, we see our jet stream is kind of like this. So it's going to be pretty warm from the west all the way to the east. Usually this type of a pattern can't last that long because there's only so much warm air to go around. So when we see this kind of happen, it's very, very unbalanced, and then eventually one side is going to completely collapse. So we will see that happen probably very shortly. And there it is. By Friday, we're taking a look here at a ridge in the west, and then a bit of a trough here in the east. So it really collapsed there in the east, and we're primarily seeing the warm air here for the western United States, and maybe some cooler air here for the east. We do see some storminess up here in the northeast, not too uncommon there with the trough happening. By the time we reach Saturday, the 18th, we do see some storminess continuing out west. Activity is primarily out here in the west. Your jet stream is looking about like this. Let's continue this on to Sunday. Again, most of that storminess happening out west, actually. Tuesday time frame, we do see a bit of a storm system for these areas here. And that could bring some thunderstorm activity in the eastern United States, but really it's looking fairly quiet. Really only the activity here happening by Wednesday the 22nd is going to be here for the northwest and for the northeast. Very, very flat pattern. And we kind of continue that way. Jet stream is looking about like this, which is very, very flat. Probably very hot for almost all of the United States, I would say, on this frame. Now for the total 10-day precipitation here. If you're anywhere in the white areas, you're expecting almost no precipitation, maybe even none. Over the next 10 days, the grays will be 1/10 of an inch or less of precipitation. Your greens will be 1/10 of an inch to 1/2 an inch of precipitation there. Blues will be 1/2 an inch to an inch. Your yellows will be 1 inch to 2 inches. Your reds will be 2 to 5 inches. And then your browns will be 5 inches. Plus, over the next 10 days, relatively dry actually looking here. The reds kind of dodge the United States. As you can see, they go south of the United States there in Central America, which is pretty common. But what's uncommon is they actually go north of the United States as well, up in Canada, and really only the northern regions of the United States get a lot of precipitation here, and it's not even that widespread. So it is interesting how it kind of just spreads right around the United States for the next 10 days. A lot of that precipitation. Pretty interesting stuff. Total snowfall here. If you're anywhere in the grays, you're expecting a dusting. If anything, blues will be 2 to 6 inches of snowfall. Your purples will be 6 to 10. And then your pinks will be 10 to 20 inches of snowfall. Your pastels will be 20 inches plus. All right. Now what we're going to do here is move on, take a look at that upcoming temperature. Here we are taking a look at that upcoming temperature pattern. By the time we're reaching this afternoon, this is the look. We have a big time trough there in the west. A bit of a ridge there in the central and eastern United States, moving something like this. So a lot of that warm air is heading in just like this. Going to be a very hot day, actually, with a lot of cooler air working its way in behind. Let's work our way towards Wednesday here, and it's a lot of the same. That trough is moving a little bit further eastward. Thursday, we still have a lot of warm temperatures here in the eastern and central United States. But by Friday, we see that there is warm temperatures, but there is some cooler air starting to try to trickle its way into the eastern United States by this point. By Saturday, it's clear that we actually are in a trough in the east as well. And then Sunday, it's the same story. This is actually that really dramatic frame with the jet stream that we've been talking about for a couple of days, where it's actually like a very wobbly jet stream, which is much, much more common in the fall, winter, and spring, rather than almost the very middle of summer. Very crazy stuff here. Monday, let's see, this is going to be Monday the 20th. The ridge starts to move a little bit further eastward, but we do still have that cooler air in the northeast. Tuesday, it's clear that this heat wave is heading eastward, and I say heat wave with certainty because this is very hot temperatures in there. Wednesday, look at the warm temperatures there. This is a clear indication that there could be a heat wave coming for the southeast, starting on Tuesday, June 21st, Wednesday, June 22nd, Thursday, June 23rd. That could be a massive heat wave for at least these regions. I mean, at the very, very least, these regions that stay in the browns almost every single day, which would indicate 20 degrees above normal, at least, throughout these areas. These areas get 3 days in a row of that, but really, all these areas get at least, well, even I think like this area gets at least 1 day out of the 3 that is going to be super hot. That looks like a heat wave to me. We're going to have to watch that very, very closely. Now, let's go ahead and talk about some of that tropical activity. Now, here is our cyclonic relative vorticity that shows us that large-scale rotation in the atmosphere, kind of like tropical cyclones have that cyclonic vorticity. We see this is our European model first off, and yesterday this model had it going very far north. Thankfully, this model does this now, maybe even further south than that, which is kind of dodging the United States. That's not to say that things can be ruled out, but it doesn't have it showing a hit to Texas at this point. Obviously, we don't want anybody to get hit by this system, but it spends very, very little amount of time in the Gulf of Mexico this way, so it doesn't really develop into much of anything. If it goes like this model shows, it doesn't have enough time over water to really develop into a massive storm. But if it was to do this and then really hang out over the water, it would have much more time to develop here over this track, over the Gulf, and that would be a much more impactful storm. Now for the GFS model, it's a lot of the same. We see it really track. It becomes a worse storm when it hits Central America, but it really just hugs the coast down here, as you can see, and doesn't get over open water in the Gulf. So we get a less impactful storm that way as well. Now, let's take a look at the National Hurricane Center still, though, and what they have to say. So here it is, the 5-day graphical tropical weather outlook. As you can see, we've been upgraded to a 40% chance over the next 5 days of tropical development there in that orange area. Let's take a look. So we do have a 20% chance over the next 2 days, over the next 48 hours, and then a 40% chance over the next 5 days. So there is a 20% chance over the next 48 hours, but after that point, the odds actually increase. They actually double there to a 40% chance for the 3 days after that. So that's very interesting. We will continue to track this daily. Keep that in mind. So tune in with us daily as we will be taking a look at this system until it's all said and done, and any future tropical systems as well. Now, let's go ahead and break down the Storm Prediction Center and the upcoming severe weather. All right, here we are taking a look at that categorical outlook here for day one. We have 3 general thunderstorm risk areas there in the lighter greens. That's where we expect general thunderstorms, but anything is possible, so heed every watch, warning, and advisory. We do have 2 areas of marginal risk. That's our darker green areas, and that's where we expect isolated severe weather to take place. And then we have 3 slight risk areas of severe weather in the 3 yellow regions, and that's where we expect scattered severe weather to take place. So watch out for all of that activity. For tomorrow on day 2, which is going to be Wednesday, June 15th, we have 1 general thunderstorm risk in the lighter green. Again, heed every watch, warning, and advisory still, though. We have 2 general thunderstorm risks, or better yet, 2 marginal risks, actually, in the darker green areas where we expect isolated severe weather. We have a slight risk for the upper Midwest there, where we expect scattered severe weather to take place. And we even have an enhanced risk there in the orange for Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, and the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, where we do expect a little bit more widespread severe weather to potentially take place. Keep that in mind there for that orange region. Now, for day 3, this is going to be for Thursday, we have 4 general thunderstorm risks, actually, believe it or not, for the lighter green areas, and that's where we expect, again, general thunderstorms. We have 2 marginal risk areas in the darker green where we expect isolated severe weather, and then we have a slight risk up there for the interior northeastern United States, as well as a little bit of the Ohio Valley, and that's where we expect scattered severe weather to take place. Anyway, for today's confidence tab for like the, 15th day in a row, we have a 4 out of 6. I just really feel like we need to wait till we get closer to this tropical system before I feel like increasing that confidence. I keep saying that, but soon enough we will be, basically when that storm is happening. For today's patron highlight of the day, I want to thank you all for supporting the channel, but especially our platinum patrons, Bill Crates, James Wade, Dovin Nagel, Leatherpan, Mandy Birchfield, Patrick Strickland, Dave Scott, and Donna Carnes as well. I would also like to thank our diamond patrons, Bill Roberts, Marcus Connolly, Noah Michaelessa Catbite, Charles Stinnett, Bill Dallas Scaries, and John Colisi also. I'd also like to thank our channel members, Catbite, Steam Fan, and Jeremy Cox as well. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe for more weather-related content. I'll see you guys in the next video.